So without further ado, we're joined by the fabulous Lyndsay McGillivray, who is the founder of Born This Way Hypnobirthing. Hello, Lyndsay.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Thanks so much
Lovely
for
to
taking
see
time.
you.
You too, you too. So we'll get into our story in just a wee moment, but I want to read out, Lyndsay, because I love your Instagram bio. So this is like a wee snapshot of who you are. So Lyndsay is a midwife, hypnobirthing teacher, doula, mum of two, and the mantra around Born This Way hypnobirthing is taking you from scared and unprepared to confident and excited for a positive birth.
Absolutely.
I love that because it's like a total snapshot exactly of what hypnobirthing is. And I know because I was lucky enough to have you as my hypnobirthing teacher when I was pregnant 2019. Seems
Which
like
seems like a lifetime ago. COVID has made me lost all track of time, but it feels like a lifetime ago, but it wasn't that long ago.
it was literally just before lockdown,
Yeah.
and then now I seem to have a wee girl. We were talking about that before we came on. It's crazy. Right, so for people, there'll be ladies watching this, Lyndsay, that don't know what hypnobirthing is, and there'll be ladies that watching this that maybe think that they've got an idea, but they've got a lot of preconceived kind of notions or preconceptions about it. I know that I did. So
Yeah.
I went before I kind of researched it and everything, I had some preconceived notions. But let's chat about what it actually is, and then let's talk about perception versus reality.
Okay, so you're definitely not the only person that has these ideas. Usually when I go into people's houses, the women have usually done a lot of research, birthing partners not always. So sometimes they are told that they've got to be there and they have no idea what they're getting involved in. And a lot of them think I am either a hippie, that I'm coming in and I'm going to be like the most zen person ever, or that I'm coming to corrupt their mind and take over their thoughts and make them do things very out their comfort zone. And neither of those things are what hypnobirthing is. I probably would be honest and say that I didn't really know what it was. I think the word itself can be quite misleading. Sometimes I wish it wasn't called hypnobirthing, but that's what brings people to book because they hear the name and that's what they research. So it is known as hypnobirthing across the board, but it's something that's quite difficult to explain. So I'll try my best, even though I've been doing this for 9 years. I still go, well, it's kind of like this and it's a little bit like this. To sum it up really easily, it is a full antenatal education programme, but as well as teaching you all the kind of knowledge, all the information, all about your choices, preparing for birth, no matter what way it goes, it also teaches you coping strategies and breathing techniques and ways to manage your labour and help kind of navigate the whole process in a way that you will feel very informed and very in control. And it's just giving you a toolkit for birth is the best way to describe it. The relaxation part, I think a lot of people think that's all hypnobirthing is. Oh, is that just some breathing techniques that you're learning? That's one small part out of the whole programme. The course I teach is 10 hours long, and it's only the second session out of the 4 sessions that we do the relaxation tools. So the rest is kind of breaking down barriers about negativity and really just kind of helping switch your mindset from a place of fear and dread, like I said in my bio, to just feeling really excited about meeting your baby, which is what it should be about. It's the most incredible thing you'll ever do. And it shouldn't be a day that's kind of dreaded or filled with fear. And that's what hypnobirthing definitely does. It definitely helps with that.
That's so true, because I think, like, especially obviously first time mums, for me, I was absolutely shite myself thinking about the birth and actually worrying about shiting myself as well. Like there was all these different things that go through your head. And I remember saying to you, I was obsessed with one born every minute, like literally obsessed by it. And I think it was, there was lots of screaming, but for me, what I was really obsessed with was the moment the mum met the baby, because I was just like, oh, it's just like this crazy love story. So yeah, and what you provide and what the Glow Live is all about as well is giving knowledge. Like knowledge is power, that's what we always say. And with it, through the education that you give to people, it's like wee light bulb moments, like, oh, I had never even thought about that. So you taught me some facts, and we'll go on to the birthing story later on, but I was still able to use the techniques, because what you say is that actually hypnobirthing, it can be for any birth that you use the tools for, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about it. I think people think it means that you're choosing that you're not having any pain relief. It means that you're doing it without any assistance. It would need to be in a pool. There's loads of kind of misconceptions about what hypnobirthing is and what it's for, but it's for anybody. And no matter what way your birth goes, these tools and techniques can be helpful. And I think more than anything, a lot of people don't know they've got options and choices. And that's always the kind of light bulb moment for people. They'll say, oh, I didn't know I could question that, or I didn't know I could decide that. And I think it's a hard thing, as I say, to sum up, but recently I've had a couple of clients that have described hypnobirthing in their own words, and I just loved how they described it. I had one couple and they said hypnobirthing had changed their fears into challenges that they could face together, which I just loved.
Oh, that is so nice.
And I had another couple and they said, the woman said that she really respects doctors and midwives and understands that they are the experts in what they do, but they're not the expert in her. And she said that's what this has given her, the tools to really understand what's important to her and what is she comfortable with and what does she need to know more about to feel confident going into her labour. And it just kind of changed our perspective. On Wednesday night, I just finished teaching my 300th couple, which was a massive milestone to get to.
That's amazing.
And we did her course in quite a short time. We did 4 sessions within a week. And she was saying that she spent the first 7 months of her pregnancy absolutely dreading birth. And now she's just so confident and excited about it. And that was in a week that we've made that change in how she's feeling. And I think it's hard because it's very rare you hear positive things about birth. We're so quick to go to the negative all the time. And that's a big part of what makes up our expectations about what birth is going to be like.
Yeah, absolutely. Like mindset, like you'd always said to me, but one born every minute, just they always fill it with like the scary stories or this, because that's obviously part of the drama of it. But yeah, it's you're preconditioned to have a notion of what labour is going to be like. And actually, for me, before we started doing it and before I started doing the research, I was definitely thinking hypnobirthing is going to be like no drugs. So whereas I've got a very low threshold for pain, so I would be of the mindset, give me the drugs. Like I think pregnant women, there's like the give me the drugs, there's a natural birth, and then there's the ones in the middle that are like, I'm just going to wing it and see. And so I was kind of thinking, oh, Lyndsay's probably going to be like, now remember, natural is best. But actually no, you were like, do you know what, you own your birth story. If you want this, you get it. And if you're in the middle of something like that you're really scared about and you want a C-section, you've got the power to say to the people that are in control, this is how I'm feeling and this is where my body's going. So for me, it was so empowering speaking to you. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realise that. It's almost like you go into a space and you hand your power over to someone else, where it's your body and it's your baby, and every single decision should be yours, no matter what that is. I was saying to you earlier, Laura, that I'd launched my own hypnobirthing programme. We put Candy here.
Tell us about this.
So I had been teaching for about 8 years, and lockdown gave me a big challenge. Lockdown definitely gave me a big challenge. I had homeschooled 2 kids while I work as a sexual health advisor 2 days a week. So trying to take confidential calls with 2 kids in the house and the husband working from home was interesting. But as well as that, I had my own kind of personal struggle going on. My mum got diagnosed with cancer just before lockdown happened. So she got diagnosed with breast cancer, had a mastectomy, had chemo, had radiotherapy, all through the kind of height of lockdown. So I wasn't able to go and support her, look after her, and I thought, see, unless I channel my energy into something, I'm going to go crazy here. So I put all my energy into writing my own hypnobirthing programme, which was something I've wanted to do for years, but just didn't have the time, and lockdown really gave me that opportunity. So I've done a lot of additional training courses, and before I was quite restricted on the things that I would be allowed to talk about. And there's just so much more I think people need to know. And I think, again, it's about empowering people. When I teach them things about how their bodies work, they start to be like, do you know how amazing I actually am right now? I'm growing a human. I'm like, I know, it's incredible. But I think it's something that is so beautiful, but it's always got this negative link to it. And I think it's so sad that something so amazing has so many people frightened of it where it can be amazing no matter what way it goes. One of the things I was really kind of wanting to focus on in my programme was preparing for all eventualities. So there's a part in my book called The Plot Twist. So when your pregnancy's all going lovely and then it might take a sudden turn. So like a breech baby, Laura, you know how that feels?
Yeah.
Something like that, where your idea of how it's going to go completely flips round. It's like, how on earth do you prepare for that? Does that mean hypnobirthing's out the window? Absolutely not. These tools will prepare you for whatever way it goes, making you make the right decision for you and your baby. So that's something I was really passionate about, making people realise this is not just about pain-free, drug-free births. This is for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. I remember, because obviously, like you'd mentioned, like my birthing story was that Bella Rose was breech and I didn't have the option. I was told like it is, and obviously when you're told that, I'm like, right, okay, that's fine. Like I don't want to put her in any jeopardy at all. But I remember being, because with a planned section, it's like, as much as it's not like that kind of like dramatic going into labor and that's it, you know, you've got that like anxiety, nerves, because you've got your date, you've got your time, like you're actually, you know. And I went in the morning, I think you're meant to go in at like 6 a.m. or something, and then basically I think it's 4 or 5 sections they do a day, and they basically look at the ladies in terms of their medical history, have they had a section before, and they get those ones out the way first, because if it's a section before, there's more scar tissue, it takes a wee bit longer. So I was last in the day, and I remember being told, you know, if you're last, you might be sent home depending on you know, how any complications that might happen, anything. So that was a whole day for me from 7, and I think I went in at 4:30. That was a long day in that hospital, thinking, oh my goodness, right? And I was nervous, and I just remember thinking, like, think of your tools, think of your techniques, and breathing is like, I know it's like the most natural thing on earth, but when I'm anxious, I breathe up here, and like sometimes I need to be like, take a deep breath, like don't breathe up here. So, and I just remember flashing back. So the tools, regardless of being in a state of labor or waiting to be taken to surgery, you can totally use them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why when people are quite dismissive of, was that just breathing techniques? Breathing isn't something that you have had to learn. From the moment you opened your eyes and you took your first breath, you've known how to do it. But there's definitely a right and a wrong way to do it. When you get scared and you get frightened, your breathing completely changes and you hyperventilate, and that's only going to make you very tired and stressed, but also impact your baby. So as much as breathing techniques are very kind of simple and easy, especially the ones that I teach, because I think there's enough going on in labour without worrying about if you're breathing right, it's something that will give you that control back and not only keep you calm, but keep your baby calm as well, which is really important.
Oh, absolutely. And your mindset as well. So like the kind of hypnosis element to it, taking your mind to somewhere else can be so powerful. And again, it gives you that feeling of control. And you mentioned something there, Lyndsay, which really, really stuck out to me. This is one of the things that really stuck out to me about what you taught me. So when your body's in like labor and you're contracting inside, I remember you saying to me, you know, if you're in a state of fear, so like that fight or flight, so if you're in a state of like fight or flight and you're contracting your body, you're tensing up naturally, which can actually lengthen your labor. Give us the story, because I know you've got a slide as well that you can show.
I do. I think it's one of those things that I think when I explain this to people, it just kind of makes sense and they're like, all right. And I think the biggest thing is we don't always understand what is actually happening in labour. And again, even to understand that will empower you to feel more confident getting into the experience. I think the word pain is a word that so often comes up with birth, but labour pain, as it were, is not anything like you'll ever experience. It's something that comes and goes. It's not a constant sensation. It comes and goes like waves. So when you have a wave or a contraction or a surge or whatever you want to call it, I like calling it a wave. I just think that's a nicer way to describe it. There's a build up, there's a peak of intensity, and then there's an easing off, but then you get a break before the next one comes. So it's never ever a constant. And the way that your muscles work, they're designed for that. That is what labour's supposed to happen. It's not something wrong. So say you put your hand on a hot hob you burnt your hand, your brain would signal to tell you that you've done something that's painful and dangerous, so you would retract that. But labour's not something wrong. It's supposed to happen. Your baby's finally ready to come out, and your body's saying, right, let's do this. But when some people feel that sensation, they just tense and they stop everything happening. So I'm going to show you a little slide explaining the muscles of the uterus and how they work, because they are absolutely incredible. And I think even this makes people go, wow, I didn't even know my body could work like that. So I'm going to show you the picture of the uterus. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
So the picture on the left shows the longitudinal muscles that run up and down the uterus, and then the picture on the right shows the circular muscles that go around the bottom of the uterus. So the best way to describe the uterus and how it works is a bit like a balloon. So if you imagine a balloon and then you've got the little bit that you blow the air into, that's your cervix. So that's the bit that will soften and shorten and open up to 10 centimetres to make space for your baby to move down. And it's those muscles working, those muscles that I just showed you in the uterus, that causes that to open up. Now, your cervix has got to open to 10 centimetres. So what happens is every time you have a wave or a contraction, these longitudinal muscles will move down. They grab hold of the inner circular ones and they will draw back. So it feels like everything is going very tight, and then everything will relax. But it's no different to any other muscle contracting and relaxing in your body. So that's what will happen. The cervix will open up to about 10 centimetres dilated. Your baby head will move down into the right space, and then the muscles actually change direction all by themselves, and they will move your baby down and out by themselves. So it's a normal physiological process. It is designed to work in that way. But the biggest thing that shuts it down, like you rightly said, Laura, is stress and fear and panic. If you're in an environment where you're under attack, your body will release adrenaline to get you out of that dangerous situation, and birth is no different. And it could be anything, like say you take some pain relief that makes you feel a bit out of it. Say you've got the loveliest midwife in the world and she says to you, so that's the end of my shift now, I'm just going to go home. You're like, no!
You're like, no, please.
Like that can cause panic to set in. So adrenaline starts to increase, and your natural hormones that are designed to allow those muscles to work will decrease, and panic takes over. When adrenaline kicks in, our bodies go into survival mode. So the uterus is not a vital organ in that process. So what happens is all the oxygen and blood supply will move away from that muscle. So it will still try to contract and relax, but without the right oxygen and blood supply, it can't do that job efficiently. So the muscles get very overworked, very overtired, and that's what makes labour so uncomfortable, because the muscles can't do what they need to do properly. Plus, when there's tension anywhere in your body, everything feels much more intense, much more painful, and it will slow down that entire process. And going back to the baby, if those muscles are tense, the oxygen the baby's getting becomes very reduced, and that can lead to babies getting stressed out as well. So the key to stopping that happening is relaxing, because the more you relax, the more the oxygen can go to the baby, the blood supply will go to the uterus, and it will function exactly how it's designed to. And we already have 2 amazing hormones in our body that are designed to allow that process to happen. We have the love hormone called oxytocin, and endorphins, which is our natural pain relief hormone. We have them in our body, so when you can figure out how to utilise them and get them nice and high, it's a bit like a seesaw. The adrenaline does not stand a chance, and the oxygen and endorphins will kick in, which will make labour much more manageable.
And it's, see, listen, I mean, that is it in a nutshell almost, isn't it? Like why hypnobirthing is good, because there'll be some women maybe watching that and thinking, relaxing during labour, like how will I ever relax? But that is why hypnobirthing comes into play, because during your 4 sessions, you're giving your clients the tools that they need to be able just to be like, right, okay, let's just remember everything I've been taught and just do your best, isn't it? Because
not even just the pregnant person, what we prepare is the birth partner as well, because they need to know how to support you as well. And I think that I was saying to you earlier just how busy it is just now, and how busy hypnobirthing is, because at the moment there's still no antenatal classes running because of COVID, which is something that's really, really important.
I know, that's such a shame.
Some people will go out and do their own research, some people don't, but I just feel really sorry for the birthing partners that during COVID they weren't even allowed in the room until the last minute, and they would be like a deer caught in headlights. It's so much better if they've done some preparation as well. So they have tools that if you do have a wobbly moment and the midwife says she's going home and you go, no, they can get you back to that state of calm really quickly because they've done the breathing with you. They know how to support you. We also show them massage, which is always lovely as well. There's lots of different things they will have up their sleeve that if you're not calm, they can help get you back to that state to allow your body to work as it's designed to.
I think Lee was a bit gutted actually that he'd been taught the massage techniques given that we were in for nearly 12 hours. I was like, so like let's just make use of all these tools. So no, absolutely.
That's all the time, isn't it? Lots of massage.
That was like a silver lining, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, it is. It's nice to involve because very often as well you hear of like I know like my friends' husbands or partners that have been in the room and they're like I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know what to say to her. Or I didn't know what to. But going through that journey with you with the 4 sessions, I think it gives them power as well, doesn't it? Gives them a wee bit of control because they'll be scared. Like it's an amazing time. They'll be thinking about their partner. Like is she going to be all right? They might even be a wee bit more nervous because you're kind of like in control.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lovely thing to do together.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think so many people say things like, oh, it's all about having a healthy baby. That's the end goal. That's at least you've got a healthy baby. But there's more to it than that. I think the way you feel about your birth experience will stay with you for the rest of your life, the way your partner feels about it as well. And it can impact not only the way that they've felt on the day, but your relationship, the way that you feel towards your baby. So making it positive, and that doesn't have to be pain-free, drug-free. Positive for me is when people have had choices, they feel understood, they feel listened to, respected, where they understand what's happening. That's a positive birth. And then they go into that next chapter with their newborn without any kind of ongoing fears impacting them or ongoing trauma impacting them.
Yeah, I think that is key because there's lots of studies now coming out, isn't there, about birth trauma and how it can affect in later life. Because actually some women have been through horrendous times. Sorry, disclaimer, wee haggis. She's involved. A skip's getting picked up, so she's going to be going for it. But yeah, it's about just trying to minimise the potential of that. Obviously, nobody can control what happens, and it's just about what you can try and control is your mindset, though, isn't it? And trying how you react to different things that go on.
And that's it. I think that's the thing that's so misleading about the word hypnobirthing. I mean, hypnosis has been used since the 1930s in birth. It's not a new thing. It's only kind of last kind of 40 years that it's been known as hypnobirthing. So I think people at first thought that's a bit out there. What is that? But it's the studies from way back even in the 1930s showed that when you were relaxed, there was better birthing outcomes, less need for pain relief, calmer babies. It has a massive knock-on effect on everything. And the tools aren't even just for pregnancy and birth. I have clients all the time that will say, oh, I was at the dentist and I was using the breathing, or I was waiting for a flight and I was just zoning out and time went by so much quicker. And I was definitely using it homeschooling 2 kids. I was like, I'm going to put this into practice again. It was very useful for that.
Oh, absolutely. Tools that will last with you forever.
Absolutely.
So you've been a midwife since 2011, is that right, Lyndsay?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And what made you go and start your own business and go into kind of hypnobirthing? Was it just all your experience of birthing babies?
Sometimes I think I don't really know how I've got to this point, because all I ever wanted to be when I was a student midwife, all I ever wanted to be was a community midwife. That would have been my dream job. But I had worked in Paisley, I'd worked in Wishaw, but at that time there wasn't a lot of midwifery jobs. A lot of people moved down south. So I got a job working as a sexual health advisor, which kept my registration up, allowed me to not have to do 12-hour shifts but remain on the midwifery register. And it was in my 3rd year of my training that I found out what hypnobirthing was, and to be honest, that's what changed my life and led me to doing this. So I had never heard of hypnobirthing until I had seen it in action, and I had gone into the midwife-led unit to help out one day, and there was a woman in the pool using hypnobirthing, and I had no idea what to expect. I walked into the room and she was leaning in the pool, just kind of at the side of the pool, and every so often she would just be like, and I was so cynical, and I thought, well, she's not in labour, because that's not labour. And 20 minutes later, this baby just moved down and out her body. And I spent the rest of the day walking around with an open jaw going, did anybody else see that? Like, what was that? It'd been so different to anything I had seen up until that point. And even just like the way her husband knew how to support her, the atmosphere in the room, the midwife was just like quite quiet and just kind of giving them space to do things. It was very unique to anything I had seen. And I thought, I need to find out more about this. And I was really lucky. Where I trained in Paisley, they were one of the first hospitals to offer hypnobirthing on the NHS. So I got to go along and do the course with all these couples. And I fell asleep lying on the floor practicing the breathing. And I thought, this is magic. So I'm not really sure what this is about, but I could take a nap. And the biggest thing I noticed was how people were feeling about their birth was very, very different. I was saying, oh, are you looking forward to it? And oh, I so can't wait. Where traditional antenatal classes that I would have taught, people were saying, what drugs can you get? When do you need to come to the hospital? How sore is it going to be? And it was just a completely different approach. And I thought, this is amazing. So I then worked in Wishaw for a while and decided that I would go and do the training because I had been blown away by it. So I did the training and originally started teaching for family and friends as a wee hobby, which I thought I would maybe do like a couple of times a year. And at the moment, I don't even know how many times I'm teaching this week. I think I've got 8 sessions this week. I'm coming up to a point where I'm doing 24 days without a day off. Sophia, my daughter, is starting school, which I can't believe, on Monday. And I said to Stuart, my husband, it'll be great. I'm going to have all during the days to myself. I'm going to join the gym. I'll shift my 5 years of baby weight that I've not shifted yet. And I am fully booked during the days as well. It is crazy. And I just absolutely love it. It's turned into something bigger than I ever thought it would be. And I'm so passionate about what I do. I love it. I don't ever get bored of it. I don't ever moan about going to work. It is the best job in the world. I love it.
So much job satisfaction, 100%.
Absolutely.
See, when you were telling us there about the story of, you seen the lady who was doing hypnobirthing techniques, and it's almost like she kind of like just breathed her baby out almost. Yeah. Another thing I remember you saying was telling me a story about a woman who was in a coma, and yes, she was pregnant and in a coma, and her body birthed her baby without her even pushing. Yeah, which shows
it's this that takes over. I think if you're in a place where you feel really anxious, unsafe, panicky, the last thing your body's going to do is make your baby come out, because it's not safe. Where if your body and mind can connect, it makes a massive difference to how you feel.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so you hypnobirthing, midwife, doula. Tell us about the doula, because maybe people who haven't had any experience of pregnancy, or they maybe just never heard that term. What is a doula, Lyndsay?
So a doula is a birth support person, is the simplest way to describe it. Being a doula is, how I would describe it, it's like all the best bits of being a midwife, but without any of the stress, any of the responsibility, none of the paperwork, and none of the cleaning up afterwards, which is why I love it so much. It's like all the lovely parts. It's really about being there to support both people involved, so the birthing partner and the person giving birth. As a doula, I go on call from 38 weeks to 42 weeks, and I am available whenever they phone to say, I need you to come. And whether that's early labour or really advanced labour, I am there as that person to be by their side and support them. And sometimes you don't need to do very much. Sometimes just being there is enough as that person. Sometimes you're just making sure that their choices are being respected and making sure that they're sure about the decisions that they're making, and almost I kind of call it holding space for people, just making sure they've got a bit of time to process a decision without jumping into it. Obviously there's all the nice kind of massage and helping them get into positions and feeding them snacks and all those kind of good things as well, but it's an amazing part of my job that I love. And that's the one thing COVID really impacted. The limited birthing partners. So the last birth I was at would have been January 2020. And I'm kind of on call at the moment for a girl. She knows that I know availability, and she keeps saying, but it'll all work out. If you're free, just come. I'm like, okay. So she's getting to the end of her pregnancy. I'm going away at the weekend, and I was like, we'll just make it after the weekend and we'll be fine. But I've got clients booked in for December, so my next availability for that is January now. So It has started to pick back up again, but it's such a lovely role. I feel like it's a complete privilege to be in somebody's birthing space. And again, a lot of people think, oh, is that just for people that are having like pool births? And I'm like, no, I've had people having C-sections. I've had 3 days of induction where I've been at the hospital for 3 days with someone. You know, it's whatever you need, whatever way your birth goes, you can have that additional support, which is amazing.
That is amazing. Absolutely. I wish I'd done that. Oh, right. Okay. Brilliant. So 4 sessions, your course comprises of 4 sessions. Can you give us like a wee overview of what people could expect from each of the 4 sessions?
So the first session is a kind of background into hypnobirthing, understanding the mind and body connection, understanding a bit more detail about how fear really impacts how your body works, and teaching you tools and techniques to block out negativity, and whether that's from people sharing lovely birth stories with you or things that you're reading, things that you're Googling, it just allows you to take control of that and stop the overwhelm. We also teach you some relaxation in the first session. Session 2 is pretty much 2.5 hours of complete relaxation. I always advise people to do that session in their pajamas because they are not worth a button afterwards. Like,
yes, I remember well.
It's bliss. It's just so nice to actually stop and take some time to focus on your baby, because life's so busy. We don't get time very often to actually just stop. Session 3 is more kind of the traditional antenatal class style. So that's where we talk about your birth plan, pain relief options, interventions, what happens if birth goes down a different route from what you imagine it would be. And I also teach in that part something called biomechanics of birth, which is understanding the way that the pelvis will move and things that can hinder it. So we do a lot of different positions to help get your baby into that perfect position for birth. And then session 4 is all the kind of what to expect, the signs of labour, how your birthing partner can support you. And in my programme, I've added additional information about a postnatal plan as well. So like even like discussing the checks that will happen afterwards and what to expect when it comes to that part. And also thinking about when you get home and visitors and how do you prepare for like what you need food wise and sleep, and how do you do that balance and how do you juggle it all. And I think it's a full course that covers everything you need to know about getting you and your partner through that amazing experience.
Oh, it's magical. And what would the cost for that be, Lyndsay, for anyone that's looking to get involved?
It depends on what you wanted to do. So if it's a private one-to-one course, it's £325. So I always take a £50 non-refundable booking deposit, and then the remaining balance is paid on session 1. I do offer payment plans for people as well. I'm pretty flexible about suiting what people need. And I also offer the occasional group course as well. So the next one I'm running is actually the end of August, and I've got another one running in November, which is going to be at Window to the Womb in Hamilton. So that's the venue that I'm using for group courses going forward. And they're £225, and it is the same content, same support, same book. You get everything the same. It's just that it's in a group setting. And some people prefer that because they get to meet other people going through the same experience. Some people prefer to be in their jammies in the comfort of their own house. So I like to offer different options. I'm currently working on a little side project to try and reach more people, but that's still top secret.
Well, that's exciting. I keep muting myself because wee haggis is just right there. Like brilliant. And also for anyone who's tuning in and who is a website member for the GGC, so whether you're a personal member or a business member, you get 10% off Lyndsay's services. So that's just a wee caveat, and check that out on the website for more details, which is amazing. Also, I just wanted to mention, like, hypnobirthing, as much as it's like you said, it's been around since like the 30s, 40s, it is gaining momentum now, isn't it? And I think a lot of that's to do with a lot of the celebrities who are very vocal about their advocacy of it and they're cheerleading for it. So I was reading the likes of Fern Cotton, Busy Phillips, what a cool name, eh?
I know.
Busy Phillips, Angelina Jolie, Jessica Alba, Fern McCann, Billy Fairs and Sam Fairs, and Giovanni Fletcher are just a few of the celebs. So it is really gaining momentum, isn't it? And you're obviously, with all your bookings, are feeling that, especially after the baby boom of COVID.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think I love that celebrities are talking about it, but I just think this should be for everyone, and I don't know why it's not the kind of standard antenatal classes, because it is all the information and things you need to know, but just done in a much more positive way, and teaching you the coping strategies, which is something that you really need for labour. It makes such a difference. But word of mouth is how most of my clients come to me. So it is amazing when celebrities chat about it, but for me it means more when people have recommended me to their friends and their friend gets in touch. I love that.
Absolutely. And how can people find you, Lyndsay? How can they connect with you?
So I'm on Instagram, which is at Born This Way Hypnobirthing. I have a website, which is bornthiswayhypnobirthing.com. I'm at the end of the phone if anybody wants to message me. I'm very approachable, very easy to reach out to. At the moment, my next availability for private sessions, I've got 1 space left for December, and I've got 2 spaces left for January. So I had to get my 2022 diary the other day. I was like, I can't find one. They weren't available yet, but the bookings are coming in for next year already, which is exciting. People are quick off the mark to get booked in, which is amazing. But I've had a lot of people I've had to turn away that have left it too late. So that's one thing I would really want to emphasise. Ideally, doing the course, I would say doing it anything from 20 weeks onwards is perfect. But I would say don't wait till that point to book. I have got a lot of clients who have booked at like kind of 4 and 5 weeks pregnant, but I'm not taking a deposit off them until they've had their booking scan, but I'm securing their dates for them so that they don't miss out. So as I say, I'm pretty flexible. I'm probably the worst businesswoman in the world. I'm like, that's fine, don't worry about it. But I would rather people get the dates in than miss out. Yeah. So
that's great advice. Well, listen, Lyndsay, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I think that just hearing from you will hopefully dispel a lot of the kind of misconceptions and views of how, and get people feeling quite excited, because what you say, it does make so much sense when it comes to labour, and it's just lovely to have that support as well.
I mean, I've used it twice myself, and I think when I tell people my birthing stories are always a bit like, wow, because I couldn't have had 2 more different births, and both times hypnobirthing was totally invaluable. I had been teaching it for like 2 years before I had done it myself, so I'll be honest, I was a little bit cynical that, is this actually going to be as good as what my clients were telling me it was? And in my first pregnancy, I had 3 days of induction for an apparent huge baby that they told me I was having. Was induced, and eventually I had they called it an emergency section. I would call it an unplanned section. There was nothing emergency about it just wasn't a scheduled C-section. And very, very off the track of what I thought it would be, but the hypnobirthing tools got me to 9.5 centimeters without pain relief. I was so in control, so calm. It was a really beautiful experience. I loved it, absolutely loved it. I had my music playing in the theatre, loved it.
Love that.
And then my daughter couldn't have been more opposite. I had a pool birth with her with no pain relief. So what I originally wanted first time round was what I got second time round, and both times it was just incredible, absolutely incredible. I would do it again, but I'm not good.
You'd be told no.
Yeah,
that's such a lovely way to look back on it and say, you know, and to be able to say that my birthing experience was incredible, and that's the ultimate goal, isn't it?
That's how I want everybody to feel about their birth. It's the day you get to meet your baby. I always say to my clients, think about it like a birthday party. It's the best birthday party you're ever going to get to go, because what a prize you get at the end of it.
Oh, amazing. Oh, I love it. Well, Lyndsay, thank you so much. It's been really, really lovely talking to you, and I'm so excited for you because I feel as though your business is just booming, and it's only going to go up and up.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'll speak to you soon, and thank you so much for joining us.
Take care.
Bye.